Welcome to
Okay.
book club. We're gonna talk about Mahayana Buddhism. Uh,
Oh,
I went into this feeling like Alan Watts held a kind of not great opinion of Mahayana, at least in the first part of this section.
Well, he uses the word Hinayana, and
Yeah.
I thought he don't say Hinayana as
well,
opposed to Mahayana. I thought it was
Yeah.
offensive.
When was this
So
book written? I feel like it's pretty old.
it is
it's
pretty old.
yeah, it's still good. But I didn't really
1957.
what? Oh, that's terrifying. Okay.
So, uh, notably, if and I don't know, I'll have to read about that. But if that is the offensive version, notably, this book was written quite a while ago in terms of modern literature.
Yeah, it's not like Buddhism is like, super modern invention, right? So it holds up.
Yee.
But I didn't get the feeling that you mentioned that he would actually be like slightly against Mahayana. I am interested where you saw that.
Not
What do you think
against.
about
I guess part of the section made me
that?
feel like maybe he didn't fully respect it.
Hmm.
In that, and he kind of talks about it a little bit later. I don't know where he starts talking about it, but and maybe I'm projecting, right? Like maybe I feel this way, and I'm just kind of projecting my feelings of like Mahayana tries to make Buddhism too complicated. Almost is sort of how I feel like he's talking.
From the perspective of Zen, yes.
Yeah.
Well, but then I read that no, that's nonsense. But that when East was looking at the West about efficiency,
Mhm.
right? They thought that like we are so efficient over here because we are single-minded, which led to simplification of some spiritual practices.
Mhm.
Because like we'll basically factory generate these like enlightened beings or something, and it doesn't work because everybody's different, right, and everybody needs a different path slightly.
Factory
So
generated enlightenment.
and I frankly I don't know where I read it because I read things randomly and then I don't know where it came from, so it might have been from this book or it's maybe somewhere else. I don't think it's this book actually. Sorry.
It's okay.
But so far what he says is great. It's like, okay, you know what? Like Mahayana, let's
Mhm.
actually look at the lived experience of actual people. Let's look at the psychology, and let's just make it easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't even care if we are like maybe a bit inconsistent because people are inconsistent. So yeah, hooray.
I liked what he said over here, where he said the Pali Canon would unlock the door to Nirvana by sheer effort. The Mahayana would jiggle the key until it turned smoothly.
That's perfect. I
I
love it.
Yeah, I loved it as a description of their different approaches. Thought that was
Like
fun.
that's the path I would have chosen personally. So I'm not like concentrated, insane effort type of person, sadly.
Can I just jiggle this key for a while?
Yeah, yeah.
um, Absolutely. I think also what I enjoyed about this particular section was getting a better sense of how Mahayana really kind of intellectually came about, and getting, because I think I get a lot of history and timelines kind of tangled up, and so having somebody lay it out untangled for me is really a nice experience. Like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, so this was side by side with this, and then this was connected, and these thoughts came from this way. And so that kind of helps me feel like I have a better understanding of this sort of tradition of thought.
Hmm. Yeah, he has his knowledge very well organized. That's great about him. Like he has a lot of clarity.
So I thought it was, so this is maybe where I thought his opinion was less than positive,
Ah,
is where he
yeah.
talks about the delayed revelation aspect that comes into Mahayana, of like there being different levels of truth. and you've got like the absolute truth versus kind of the more wibbly wobbly truth.
Okay, so I read it a bit differently. I know, so there's Tibetan Dharma basically work this way, right?
Mhm.
That there was a teaching hidden somewhere in a cave, and somebody who's sufficiently enlightened is like, gets to the point that they find it, and it's written in complete, code, and they are able to translate it with their amazing mind. And so basically, it's absolute genius, right? Because you get traditional teaching which goes all the way back,
Way back.
yet it's revealed in modern times.
Right.
So you get both the tradition and adapting to changing needs of the society at the same time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's a very very smart way of doing this, right? Because otherwise, like, you have to convince all those people that, like, yeah, what you're saying is actually good, and times have changed, right? And you'll be measured against the tradition, right? This
Right.
is wonderful mechanism. Like, I have no problem with that. I think Mormons did something similar,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think they
That
did.
was still, yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. I don't think it makes it worse necessarily, if
I mean,
No.
done well,
this
of
has got to
course.
do with just the growth of any tradition. You're going to have deviation to the
Right.
point of contradictory statements between deviated schools, and to to maintain all of them as a school of one thought, you have to reconcile them. Otherwise, they're going to branch off and become either heretical or an entirely different religion.
Yeah.
Um, so, I mean, I understand, for example, the different levels of truth, because on one level, a tree is not an acorn, but on another level, they're exactly the same.
Right.
So, in the same way, I think that this could be saying, this doctrine says this truth, this doctrine says another truth, which seems to be entirely opposed to this first doctrine. Okay, well, then the answer is you have to look at it differently.
Yep, it's
All right, I get it.
well.
But for a hard-nosed, Western scholar, you'll hear, well, that just means that your system is self-contradictory, and therefore merits scrutiny.
Mhm.
But it's like,
So,
okay,
yep.
you just have to learn how to get out of that single line processing, and it'll be fine.
The way I see it, society is evolving and its needs are changing and the situation is changing and people are changing. It's in the teachings, everything is changing, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So if you create a teaching that never changes, I don't think it's going to be a compassionate teaching, because eventually it will
Yeah.
start causing trouble to the society,
One
right?
needs to
So
adapt, yeah, as culture
it
changes.
needs to adapt just from the point of view of compassion. Like, I don't
Mhm.
care about your, like, pure logical, that everything like fits together beautifully.
Right.
Don't care. That's not compassionate. Maybe it's compassionate if you're like a logician, or a mathematician, but how many people are that? So
I
If
think
you're
yeah.
trying to lay it out in an organized way so that you can, say, teach it to people in a school,
Mhm.
I understand why you'd want to have some sort of, A plus B equals C kind of situation. I get it.
Right.
But, like, this kind of thing isn't about that. So, to try and put, for example, the river into a cup, you're just going to lose the river. You're just going to have a cup of water now.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's basically what happens when people try and teach Buddhism just with words.
Mhm.
fair.
Yes. Those are both really good points, guys. Um
Thanks, Des.
yeah, you get a gold star.
Your praise means a lot to
Oh,
me.
I do demand gold star.
Both get gold stars. Everybody gets a gold star.
We're
Physical
good
gold star.
boys.
Okay. Thank you.
Nah, I love these talks. I love really getting into this stuff. Um Oh gosh. So then it gets into really breaking down some of the terminology used of what these words that we keep throwing around mean, breaking them down, and I like that. I like really because I've been
Like
told it
what, Des?
before, but I
Like what
always
words?
forget. Like Mahayana, like what does the yana part, what does the Maha part mean? Uh,
Vehicle, Des.
I know this,
Well,
but like
I
I
think
need
yeah,
reminding because I forget.
it's easier to remember the Maha in my mind because I think it appears more often in many words,
Maha.
right? Like I think some people say, Buddha's parinirvana is Maha
Mhm.
parinirvana because it's like the cool one, like the Buddha's one. See what I mean?
Ooh, fancy.
So as soon as you remember that Maha is the greater or the big, then logically Yana has to be the vehicle, right? And life is easy again.
Yeah.
Who did it?
The other way how to remember it, okay, never mind. Well, logically, like if you have Vajrayana and Mahayana, right? What's in common? Yana, right?
Yana.
Well, logically, it has to be vehicle.
Mhm.
What else could it possibly be, right?
I like the way you've come to these. I don't know that my brain will wrap myself around it, wrap itself around those.
Mnemonics. Uh,
I do appreciate the effort though. Um, what got really interesting about this section, and I don't, it kind of starts in this on these pages and continues later, is the acknowledgement that we just come at these ideas with a lot of different presumptions and cultural ideas, and that kind of affects our understanding as we read and take in the information and study. It's just
Yeah,
because
bro.
we're like primed differently, right? Here in the east, where are we?
Yeah.
West, the west,
Where are we, Des?
west. I should know this.
Tell him.
I'm
Tell him again.
I'm so bad at geography. I have no idea where I am. I'm everywhere. That's why.
Mm.
I don't even know where I am if I'm always everywhere. So there you go. Anyway,
true.
um, so then I really liked this sentence where he gets into attributing certain ways of approaching things to laziness or a loss of nerve. The conclusion which the practice of the Buddha's doctrine led, it may be attributed to laziness and loss of nerve. How do I make this make sense to somebody who maybe hasn't read this?
Where are you reading from?
I'm on this page. Mahayanists may be perfectly
Move
correct in
your mouse
assuming that.
over it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Kind of up here. Thinking about how to not regurgitate the entire chapter, but give somebody like a meaty bit, which is um this little chunk here. I really liked, but I'm having a hard time distilling it, if you will. Is
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Um.
I don't know how it distilled that.
I don't know how to distill this section other than maybe read this book, read a few more books, go meditate. You'll figure it out. I believe in you.
So let me break this down. The Polycanon
mhm.
suggests that you have to try hard enough, and only through extreme effort will you realize enlightenment. And Alan Watts says that Mahayanists sort of assume that this was a trick that the Buddha was playing,
Ah.
a kind of skillful means intended to force the practitioner into such a rigorous practice that they eventually give up, and in giving up, recognize that that was the point, letting go of the desire. So it's like saying desire not to desire.
Mhm.
Well, now I desire not to desire, not to desire. And it just goes and goes and goes until it breaks because it's nonsense. But once it's gone, it's taken everything else with it.
Mhm.
And you're just sort of there now.
Yep.
So that's what it's sort of pointing at, and that's what Alan Watts is talking about here, saying that Mahayanists assume that this sort of teaching was a kind of skillful means. It's not the actual point. It's not to say, spend your life toiling away, expending all of the effort you can in this one thing until you die. That's not it. It says, do this until you figure it out.
Yeah.
And however long that takes you to do is up to you. It could just be 5 minutes. But
If only.
I think that's what they're getting at.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I need to remember what I'm reading, but I think I read something that I thought was Theravada, which was about monk. It was Susuta, and there was like a monk who says something like, "Yeah, well, this other monk achieved liberation. Why can't I?" Right?
Ah.
And so the idea was that they are comparing themselves to the other person, which is a bad thing. But the effect is that they actually achieve liberation because they like whip themselves into shape, and that's a good thing, right? So they basically utilize a bad quality to achieve something good.
Right. That's the skillful means bit. That's
Yeah.
saying, well, you've got this stumbling block. Let's use it as a stepping stone instead.
Right.
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 So yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think
Indeed.
that was a good part.
And then what?
And then
So
Bodhisattva happened.
then I was a bodhisattva and I left. No, I'm kidding.
Not what a
Yeah.
bodhisattva does.
Well, according to this, here's what a bodhisattva does do. Is the one who realizes that there is a profound contradiction in nirvana by himself and for himself. So this was also really interesting. I guess I hadn't really thought about it, but he does say it somewhere here. Oh gosh, I can't remember exactly what page. But he like kind of says he states that the Mahayanists see bodhisattvas as almost superior to the Buddha, who goes through enlightenment and leaves the the circle of every.
Okay, hold on. Is superior to the Buddha or
A Buddha.
a stone Buddha?
No, somebody. Let's see.
Well, it would be logical if they did see it that way, but I guess that sounds really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let me find.
Is this the comparison between the one who
Exact
achieves
quote.
parinirvana versus the one who comes
Who
back, the
like
returner?
rejects nirvana. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the one is arhat, someone who achieves enlightenment and then fucks off and says, I've got mine, good luck to everyone else.
Fuck you guys, I'm out.
That's
Right.
what Buddha did.
No, Buddha gave teachings. Buddha also came back. That's why we've got Avalokiteshvara and all of them. Buddha is seen as a bodhisattva.
Avalokiteshvara is Bodhisattva. Then how? Okay, I'm confused. So, okay, I'm very confused then. Because yes, I know that, but I also know that people refer to what Buddha did as parinirvana.
Yeah.
And I thought that's the one where you don't come back.
The final extinguishing. Yeah.
So
it doesn't make sense. We'll just put that out there right in the front of it.
I'm happy with that explanation.
Yeah.
As long as we can all admit this doesn't make sense, we're good.
Okay, I also even more confused. I thought. Oh, I'm so confused. I thought Avalokiteshvara happened before Buddha, but I didn't. This is probably a huge amount of like lack of knowledge, but
that's more out of my wheelhouse, like dates and names and facts. I don't know, man.
Facts.
Yeah.
I know Avalokiteshvara is Bodhisattva of compassion. Om Mani Padme Hum is mantra of Avalokiteshvara. 14th reincarnation or whatever is actually the current Dalai Lama. He's a reincarnation of Avalokiteshvara. For some reason, I thought Avalokiteshvara, like first Avalokiteshvara happened before Buddha for some reason. Okay, now I'm really disturbed. Please continue. I'm going to meditate.
I need to go meditate. I'm trying to imagine being comfortable meditating on a Discord chat, and it feels weird to me. I would have to think about that.
That's your own hang up.
It is. It is indeed.
I'm meditating right now, and I'm petting a dog.
Dog.
Yeah.
I liked this quote, so I highlighted it. Nothing in the universe can stand by itself. No thing, no fact, no being, no event. And for this reason, it is absurd to single anything out as the ideal to be grasped.
Oh, yeah. I can dig it.
I can dig it. More enlightened words were never spoken. I can dig it.
Mm-hmm.
Nirvana is samsara. Respond.
What'd you call me?
Nirvana becomes element of samsara if you try to grasp it.
Yeah.
I agree.
As soon as Nirvana is made an object of desire, it becomes an element of samsara. Yeah.
That's because grasping itself is samsara.
Exactly.
Right, which means you don't get to achieve it. So that's good.
I like recognizing that sort of irony, right? Like you really want this good thing, and that's how you get the bad thing. I suppose in moments like these, personally, I reflect just a little bit on how so often, despite years of trying to unlearn this, I still filter so much through my earlier years of Christian faith.
Mm-hmm.
I filter so much through those ideas and my earlier understanding of things, and it's frustrating because I can feel it happening, right? And I'm like, no, stop, no,
get out of my head, God.
God. But so many other little things like that too, where like even things that aren't necessarily like they don't look hurtful. It's things like, yes, kind of overachieve to get to heaven can often blind you to the work you need to do on earth. And anyway, so it's stupid little things like that it just frustrates. Yeah, so that's cool. Let's click the next page. Bam! Oh, I liked this. Lunatics often resemble saints.
That's wonderful. I did not like it.
I loved it. I thought it was neat because I thought it was true.
I think it is true, but that also lets you get all kinds of lunatics claiming to be saints, and that needs to be somehow like...
Anyone who claims to be a saint is automatically disqualified. It's very simple.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the sad part, though? Humans are prone to, like, even if they don't claim to be a saint and they are a lunatic, we're wild enough of a species, we'll be like, that's crazy. They're probably a saint.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to, like Alan Watts said, tell the difference. Maybe they're both.
I was listening, I think Ramdas was talking about like India and about particular kind of crazy people who are sort of like venerated because like they are close to God or something because they're crazy. But you have to be crazy in a very specific way, and I'm not sure how they exactly distinguish that.
How do we distinguish if you're crazy in the right way?
Divine madness.
Yeah, they definitely seem to be much more open to that. And in general, I think like people in the medieval times, or before and stuff like that, like basically any aberration from normal was extremely interesting because it taught you something that normal people will not teach you, right?
I don't know if people were looking to be taught in those kinds of ways at certain times. It was more likely to just, all right, well, we'll lock them up into a fucking door, and they don't need a blanket. They don't feel cold.
They don't feel cold.
Well, no, I mean more.
You have to be sane to know what temperature is. Des, don't you know?
Yeah.
That would be wild if you actually did.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what they thought up to like the 60s. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I wish I didn't know what temperature was.
Wow.
Well, that's a good question. What is temperature, right?
Uncomfortable.
Okay.
I hate it.
There is no temperature.
Only
There's
samsara.
only perception of temperature.
Oh god, what are we even talking about anymore?
We said lunatics frequently resemble saints.
Ah yes, I thought that was cool. As a thought. It's like a thought experiment.
Taoism, there's a lot of Taoism likes to play both sides at the same time, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of Taoist sage writings that talk about how much of a fool I am, and I like it that way, sort of a thing.
I was a fool and I liked it.
Right.
Taste of that Taoist bullshit.
God.
Who was the dude under the cold mountain? I forgot. There's a person under cold mountain.
Oh?
You know what I'm talking about? Cold mountain?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay, I'll find it. Never mind. That's exactly what he was saying.
But yeah, it's like, people rushing everywhere with so much purpose, trying to get things done, and here I sit by a lazy river watching the stream bubble. And it's like that's their top tier thing, man. They're just good there. It's like, yeah, I'm on a rock.
I'm on a rock.
Yeah. And that's all they need to be happy. Like, I think there's something very remarkable in that, and like, society would look at them and be like, you lazy ass bum, you're not doing anything good for anyone. How dare you?
How dare.
And it's just like, why do you expect me to try and do the? I'm just living. Like, don't put me in a box, man.
Man.
I found it, by the way. Cold mountain. Literally, when you translate it into Chinese, it becomes Han Shan. That's the name of the dude.
Oh.
So I was saying his name without knowing it. Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's like these poems. He was apparently like drawing on rocks and stuff, and it's very beautiful. And check them out.
Okay.
Han Shan.
Cool. You should type that for me in somewhere.
I will.
In somewhere.
So, well, either in class voice chat or Sangha book club, or thank you. I'll look at that again in a bit. If I don't need a thought in the moment, I will often just completely dump it from my brain and not have it anymore.
So relatable.
And then I'm like, I had a thought and I know I wanted to remember it. I have nothing. No, I don't have it anymore. It's gone. The human situation is seen for what it is, a quenching of thirst with salt water. This is the eye of Prajna. I believe it's pronounced.
Yep, you did it, Prajna.
I win!
Cool.
I really, I don't know. I like dig little pithy sayings like that, right? I don't know, because I can just feel it, right? Like, I've had the taste of salt water in my mouth, and I'm just imagining trying to quench my thirst with it, right? So it's just a very visceral, tactile, like, sensation for me to connect with.
Get your teeth into it, Des.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some really good ones like that. Yeah, I like when people do that. So much better than dry theory.
Yeah, so then we go into Lankavatara Sutra.
Oh, no.
I love hearing you try and pronounce shit.
That sounded correct to me.
Well, that's the best part. Even if it does sound right, it just doesn't feel right because Des has no self confidence.
That's true. Batara?
Yeah, yeah, that one.
In this
I love you,
moment,
Des. It's
in
fine.
this moment, all sense of constraint drops away. The cocoon which the silkworm spun around himself opens to let him go forth, winged as a moth.
Winged. Get
Out
wings,
of
Des.
all things. Why moth? Why not the butterfly? But whatever.
I don't
Because
know.
butterflies symbolically used to represent beauty.
Yeah, we want to be a moth.
Moths are plain and ugly and common.
I like moths.
Well,
Have you seen a lunar moth? Those things are awesome.
yeah, that's what I was
exactly
gonna
it.
say.
It's just like they're not as plain as people make out.
They're just as good as butterflies. They're just
Moths
a little.
are just as good.
They're just dustier looking.
They're like discount butterflies. They're fine.
Discount butterflies.
They're just knockoff.
Oh my god. Discount butterflies.
But see what makes it
Oh, I
cool,
love
right?
that.
It's moon pointing to the moon.
Oh, I gotta write that down.
I didn't think it was that good. I'm happy that it made you so happy.
That brings nice images into mind. Like, yeah.
All right, sorry. More stuff happens in the section where Alan begins to talk about some stuff.
Oh boy.
Damn, Des, slow down. That's too many details.
That's work. Nagarjunas.
Damn, you got it again.
All of these words are easier than the other words we used last time.
True.
They got that flowy, swooshy sounds instead of the hard stops.
Glottal stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't got to stop your glottis at all this time.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, fuck you, glottis.
Western students have always had difficulty in how such a purely negative point of view could have any creative consequences.
Actually, to be honest, I sometimes still have difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Destruction makes room for creation. It's the same process, just in a different angle.
I don't buy it.
I mean, you don't have to buy it. It's non-dual. Think about it. They're the same thing, dog.
A Buddha is a Tathagata, a thus goer.
Mm.
Tathagata.
Tathagata.
Mm-hmm.
I once there was a word, something like ta or something like that, and I couldn't find it ever again. I was like,
is it this one?
Please, no, it was worse than that. It was like suchness of suchness. It was like that, but say it twice.
Oh, damn.
Never mind. Yeah. I saw it somewhere.
Mm.
Like, please no.
I'm not even gonna touch this word. I think you said it earlier.
Hold on, I've got my phone in my pocket. I'll look at what you're doing.
No, it's okay.
Wait. He's talking about the various.
It's like
Delete highlight.
That
Ratna Sambhava.
Ratna Sambhava.
It's a hard word. All beings are endowed with Buddha nature and so have the possibility of becoming Buddhas. There you go.
Say it again, Des.
You're saying it somehow like weird. It
Hold on. All beings are endowed with Buddha nature and so have the possibility of becoming Buddhas.
That's so much better. Love it.
That's the money. That's what
Yeah.
we needed. Clean shot.
All right. Congrats, everybody. You have Buddha nature, and I'm really proud of you.
Thanks. We couldn't have done it without you, Des.
I know.
I know.
He mentions the Pure Land. I have not heard of Sukhavati. Is that a word for Pure Land?
One's rebirth in
Here
the
to
Pure
lies this
Land.
basis. It's above at the beginning of the paragraph. Sukhavati.
Mm-hmm.
Sukhavati.
So
Yeah,
I would
I
assume
haven't heard that.
Sukha is like opposite of dukkha, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what vati is. Let's say
I
it's
feel
land.
like I just need to learn this language that it was originally written in.
You want to learn Pali?
I feel
You
like
know?
I should sometimes, just to.
Do you
Oh,
want to learn Pali
Sukhavati
or
is the Pure
Sanskrit?
Land.
Because you're gonna have to
Oh,
choose
yeah.
one or the other.
I can't learn both.
Frankly,
I mean,
Bess,
I guess I'll learn Pali since with the
stick
canon's
to it
written
and you
in.
will. Like, eventually you'll just know it. Just do it long enough and it will happen.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
yeah, like that.
No, I was
Pure
thinking about back
incarnation.
when I was learning sign language, and there were certain words that I kept not catching, and eventually I just got it when I kept talking to this one dude who loved telling stories.
I was just thinking about Shia LaBeouf, so
Shut up.
just do it.
Just do it. So I think learning Pali sounds really interesting, but also incredibly non-utilitarian in my life.
Yeah, yep.
It's like,
No, I learned Czech. I think Pali is more utilitarian than that,
because
to be
like,
honest.
if I really am gonna sit down and learn a language, I probably need to learn Spanish.
One that you'll use with other people near you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
such a materialistic, dualistic way of seeing the world.
It's
Learn
not
Pali.
materialistic at all. It's practical.
It's
Well, that's it.
compassion. I can't use
That's the
Pali to
problem.
talk to half my customers at the zoo.
No, you can use Pali to talk to all the Buddhists that know Pali.
Right.
Mm.
How many of those do we know? It's
I
not
don't
useful.
even know one.
Well, we had the shepherd guy, but he left, or she. I don't know. They left.
Exactly. So I don't know them. They stopped
Mm.
existing the moment they left this server, as far as I know.
It's true. Yeah, that's
As do
sad.
all beings.
Overall,
Do we-
I do like
Did we
this
finish
section.
after?
Just
Did we?
about. I'm skipping over some stuff only because like, unless I sit here and lecture at you guys.
There is a topic upcoming that is very dear to my heart.
Yeah,
Eventually,
we should
we'll get
definitely
there.
talk about that then.
Maybe we shouldn't. You'll see for yourself.
Ah, you spicy. You got some spicy feelings.
Very ominous.
Yeah.
You got some of those habanero level feelings.
I care about something very much, and we should never talk about it.
Oh, here's the quote I was talking about earlier, which is the difficulty of making equations and comparisons between Eastern and Western ideas is that the two worlds do not start with the same assumptions and premises. We talked briefly about that earlier, but I like that it's acknowledged and, just put into a statement. I I think about this sometimes with the Zen sayings and the skillful means when that comes up. So this particular sentence strikes with that as far as the logical standpoint, the proposition everything is mind says no more than everything is everything.
Yeah, but the first one sounds really cool, and the second one sounds kind of dumb.
Right?
So don't say the second one.
So yeah, we just Yoga Akara has been talked about the last couple pages. I kind of glanced over that. I mean, I read it during my initial read through, but I also wasn't moved to super talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, this is getting into like metaphysical distinctions between schools and logical arguments.
I think if you really want to get serious about your practice, I think it's good to be aware that these things exist as distinctions
For sure.
for
Just,
people.
don't take them like too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get all
And
caught up and make a PhD about it. Like it's not that deep. Or maybe it is. Who am
maybe
I
it
to say?
is. Well, that's the interesting part. Anyway.
I guess it's deep, but it's not PhD kind of deep.
Oh, I mean, it absolutely could be. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you look at hard enough at something, you keep seeing more and more.
True. Well, that's more a problem with the PhD than with the reality.
Right, right.
So. Oh yes, yes. Oh my God, you highlighted it.
What?
Oh,
What?
Kurt Gödel has given us
Oh.
rigorous proof. That's the favorite part. I
Oh,
love
cool
that.
beans.
Yeah, super cool beans.
So you have very strong feelings about rigorous systems of logic having some amount of self-contradiction.
I have such. Okay, let me put it this way. If the reality was mathematics,
Mm-hmm.
Gödel would be Buddha,
Mm-hmm.
and his theorem would be Dharma.
Ooh.
And you would read the theorem, and you would be enlightened.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the word is not mathematics, so it doesn't really apply. But it's so cool. It's really, really cool.
Those are some strong feelings you have about it.
Yeah, I have super strong. No. Seriously, like there was a point when I thought I was enlightened because I understood that thing.
Really?
And since then I realized, oh, actually I'm not enlightened. But I have super strong feelings about it.
Wow.
Yeah, that bad.
Huh. That's cool though. I don't know. Like
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm
It's cool.
interested by that. Now I want to go like read the theorem, right?
Is this the incompleteness theorem?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically. Oh well, how much time do we have?
Oh, we've
5
got.
minutes.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, we
good.
can do it. Uh, Basically, if you have okay, so in mathematics you know everything about everything because you made it up, right? You defined it, right? And so since you made this entire mathematical world, can you know absolutely everything about it? And the answer is no, surprisingly, even though you made it and you
Mm-hmm.
created the rules.
Hmm.
Not only you don't know everything,
Mm-hmm.
therefore we have mathematicians. Mathematicians are discovering things in a world that was made up by people.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that? Do you see what I mean?
Hmm.
Do you find it crazy?
It reminds me, and you're gonna hate this,
Yeah.
of fan fiction.
Okay, that's cool. There must have been some. Yeah. Well, anyway. So what he basically has proven is like if you want to know everything in
Mm-hmm.
mathematics, tough luck can't be done.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't do it. You can't escape out of it
The
by the
only
means of
way
mathematics itself.
the only way that there can be any sort of system flow of information is for there to be something an imbalance, something that prevents equilibrium.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you've got that, it becomes static, and now you just have a theory. You don't have working math.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? You're not growing anymore. You've just got a
Yes.
theorem, and that's it. That's done deal.
And
And then
mathematics is wonderful in the sense that it will always let you grow more.
right, but you always have to have something that's just beyond your view in order for it to move to that direction.
Yes.
Hmm.
Now here's how it comes related, right? So okay, mathematics growing, whatever. If you wanted to know everything, absolutely, if you wanted to know every single true statement in entire mathematics,
Mm-hmm.
there is only a single way, basically, how to do that, which is to attack the premises of this incompleteness theorem, right? And it's basically you have to get to non-duality essentially. You have to go to a mathematical theory where true and false are the same thing.
You
Because
have to
as
go
soon as you do
beyond
that,
numbers, essentially.
Hmm.
this entire pile of mathematics collapses into a single point. and by knowing the point, you know everything, but there's no distinctions. Like this is basically Dao in
Right.
mathematics.
Once you get to that point, math stops being math.
Yes, it becomes
You've learned
completely
something
different.
about something else now.
Yes, exactly. And you can prove it mathematically, which is just insane. Like this is no
Said
like
it contains no numbers. Mm-hmm.
voodoo's Taoist like sage thinking, like Gödel like proved it on a piece of paper, right? Now he had it easy because he was talking only about mathematics, right? Buddha did the same thing for the entire world, the reality as it is, which is more difficult.
Yeah, but Gödel proved it, which I think is pretty sweet.
It is cool. Good for him.
Good for us all.
Yep. Or whatever Gödel says. QED or I don't know. All right, wow, we got through it in 3 minutes. That's amazing.
We did it.
I like that. I feel like I'm more intrigued by math now instead of like my constant fear of being like presented with it in my real life.
Bro, math is like super fucking cool once you get past like algebra and geometry. Like when you get into calc, it starts to really open up. But then you also are learning calculus and kind of want to die. So like there's a trade-off.
The thing is, Wes, like many people feel like you, and it's just fear. Right? Like you show a complex equation and people are terrified. Like they're
You get
afraid.
overwhelmed. It's
they
like,
say,
why
like,
are you showing me this nothing? It's Greek.
or-
I don't know this.
Oh, it's Greek. Usually it is Greek, right? But it's like oh no, I don't understand these things. Oh no, I could never, right?
Well,
Right.
and so I say all that, and it is worth noting that I did get up to pre-calculus and algebra 3 back in high school. Like,
hell yeah.
I was on an advanced track of schooling. I wasn't like, I didn't.
No,
I don't know.
yeah.
Like, I felt like I
There's
gave
good
math
stuff
a
in pre-calc.
chance. I feel like I gave math a chance, and we just didn't hit it off. And I
You
had
need to have math go side by side with physics, because that'll help you tie it in.
That's probably what I should have done. My friends took physics.
I did a lot of extracurricular study in physics, and I learned about, quantum mechanics, M theory, quantum chromodynamics, a whole bunch of weird shit. But like learning that alongside calculus, you can see sort of how they weave together. So like, yeah, math is just purely thought forms, and physics is purely based on our observations of reality. But like, they dance together very well.
Cool.
That's true. The
All right.
physicists always were way farther in mathematics in the classes than pure math people were because they had the motivation, right? Like they had to explain, quantum mechanics.
Well, math becomes a tool rather than the end. Right.
And they would also use it as a tool, right? Like mathematician can do math in a such precise and complicated way that it's like a really, really, it's no longer a tool.
Yeah.
It's kind of object to itself. So then it's no fun. But really, I think it's just your brain trying to preserve itself. And so it's basically fear, right?
Yeah.
And once you realize that you don't die out of mathematics, I mean, most people don't, right?
Man, wouldn't that be a trip, though?
What?
3 more students killed by math.